What's up, everybody? This is Mark from Ichiban Games, and this is the final installment of the cards for Alchemazam, with this card set being the Grand Arcanum. Thanks again for watching all these videos, and there will always be more to come on this game and other games. So, like, subscribe, share, and hit that notification bell so you can go and be alerted as soon as we go and have more content up. So, before we get into this, though, we need to get to dun dun dun, the disclaimer, as per usual. So, this video was made for teaching purposes only. In the future, it will be updated. This game is in the alpha stage. All information may be subject to change. All art you see is proxy and placeholder. Some art in the video you see I have the rights to and is original by those artists. Some art, however, I do not own, which once again, all of this is for placeholder and teaching purposes only, and all the art credit goes to those artists. So with that being said, let's get to it. The first card we're going over is Voracious Ghoul, which is a common card that is a creature undead ghoul of the Dark faction. It has an attack of 3, defense of 1, and special defense of 0, and it has a casting cost of use 2 gold. When any creature dies, this card gets a +1 defense counter. So this thing might start off as a little bit strong, but some weakness in defense. But if anything dies, whether it be creatures on your side or any player's side, this thing is going to become bigger. It's going to become a wall. So nice little common card there. Next is Wormout Wolf, which is a common card that is a creature beast of the wolf type, and it has an attack of 1, defense of 2, and special defense of 0. It has a casting cost of use 2 gold. It has preemptive, it has ride, which can only be ridden by goblin creatures, and fusion. Fuse with 2 more wolf creatures to fuse into a Cerberus. That is quite good, and we will be seeing what that Cerberus will be coming up. So, strap some goblins to this thing, because, yeah, it is going to be a nice, strong baddie. Next card is Warrior of the Reef, which is a common card that is a creature merman warrior of the water faction. It has an attack of 2, defense of 3, and special defense of 0, and its casting cost is use 3 gold. When this card enters the field, you may turn 4 other water faction creatures to flick a target opponent creature to their hand. Link ability, instant speed. Turn an arcane tome to link 3 Warrior of the Reef. When you do, they link as an attack of 6, defense of 20, and have barrier 5. And can block flying and hidden empowered creatures for the rest of the turn. So, this is quite nice for getting some cards back to your opponent's hand and also making a very strong wall. The only thing that can penetrate that wall are magical creatures because, yeah, walk on through. But this thing is very, very, very good. The next card we have is Waters of Purity, which is a common card that is an instant of the water faction. It has a casting cost of either of any 2 gold or 2 glyphs, and it has a effect of cure a non-stasis ailment on a creature or destroy a target enchantment that is attached to you that gives poison units or gives curse counters, and remove those counters. Link ability, spell speed. Turn 3 Waters of Purity cards in your graveyard to make a creature lose spellproof or anti-targeting until the end of turn. Well, this card is very useful. Not only does it go and cure anything like being turned to stone or stunned or anything of that nature, but also it can go and just get rid of any enchantment that is poisoning you continuously or cursing you. So cards like Ritual of Extinguishing Life can go bye-bye. The other thing is that if this is in your graveyard and you have a couple of these in there, you can link these together and just get rid of spell proof or anti-targeting that is happening. So that will be extremely useful for players. The next card we have is Weapon Lord, which is an uncommon card that is a creature human warlord that is an attack of 2, defense of 2, and special defense of 0. This card has a casting cost of use 3 glyphs, and it does the following. Equipment is 1 less to equip to this card. For every weapon this card has equipped, it gets +2 attack, and for every armor and shield it has equipped, it gets +2 defense. If this card is equipped and blocking, for every equipment attached to it, the attacking creature gets -1 attack until the end of turn. So this card right here can go and beef up itself and become a strong attacker, or it can also be a nice blocker. So yeah, strap some equipment to this thing because it is going to get wild, and it can definitely go and equip things for nothing if that is the case. So this is really nuts. Next we have Wheel of Carnage, which is an uncommon card. It is a creature angel demon chimera that's also an entity. It has an attack of 0, defense of 7, and special defense of 0. It has a casting cost of sacrifice 2 creatures on your field, and its abilities are so. Pierce, empowerment by flight. When this card enters the field, put a +1 attack counter on it for every enchantment, spell, and instant in your graveyard. When you cast an enchantment, spell, instant, or magic ability, put a +1 attack on this card. Alrighty, so this card is very incantation card based. So anything that's an enchantment, spell, or instant, you can go and put a +1 on this thing for its attack. And that's great. It is empowered by flight. It's a big blocking creature, and it also can pierce through stuff. So that will be very strong depending on the cards that you play. Next we have Wild Magic, which is a common card that is an instant. It has a casting cost of spend 2 gold and use 1 arcane tome. So it says, take the top card of a target opponent's deck and play it, ignoring all the resource costs. If the card is a creature, you may put it on the field, which the creature does not have stasis. If it's an equipment, you may equip it. If it's an item, you may use it. If it's an enchantment, spell, or instant, you may cast it. At the end of your turn, banish that card. Fusions may require creatures to cast. Oh, what fun this card is. That is for sure. If you have a opponent that has an attacking creature, use this spell. You are probably going to take a creature from it or something that is going to just be put right on the field and be able to block that creature, do some things. And yeah, it really doesn't matter what it is because you are thinning their deck at the same time because you're also banishing stuff. But you can do a lot of cool little things. But if you know what is coming ahead, it's even better. So this is a really nice card right here. The next card we have is Will-O-Wisp, which is a common card that is a creature that is undead, spirit, and of the dark faction. It has an attack of 2, defense of 3, and special defense of 0, and has a casting cost of use 1 treasure trove. It has Drain, and it has Link magic ability, spell speed, dark. Link this card to another Will-O-Wisp. Then spend 2 glyphs and turn both linked cards to do damage equal to the combined defense to a target creature. Oh, that is some spicy goodness. So basically, this card will link to another Will-O-Wisp, as it says. And you can go and turn it to do damage, but that damage is of the defense. So basically, it's going to do 6 damage, and it's going to do drain to that. So you're going to get 6 life points. The thing is, though, is you can always buff up that defense with things. So, yeah, this is really good. The next card we have is Winged Blackpool Piranha, which is a common card that is a creature fish with an attack of 1, defense of 1, and special defense of 0. It is a casting cost of use 1 gold, and it has preemptive pack 4+ Winged Blackpool Piranhas that give it an extra +2 attack and 1 defense. So, if you have a school of fishies here, this will become a 3/2 with preemptive, and they're 1-drops. So, yeah, these can come out quick and be quite nasty and quite dangerous. So, yeah, look out for that one. Next is Wolf of Barren Wastes, which is a common card that is a creature beast wolf that has an attack of 1, defense of 2, and special defense of 0. It has a casting cost of use 2 gold, and it has pack 4 wolf creatures, which will give it an extra +3 attack and +2 defense. Fusion. Fuse with 2 more wolf creatures to fuse into a Cerberus token. Oh, this card is quite nice because you can get some of these guys on the field. They are basically going to be 4/4s, but you can also put them into a Cerberus, which we will be going over later in this video. The last card for your deck portions of the cards here is Wraith of Domination, which is a common card that is a creature undead wraith spirit of the Dark Faction. It has an attack of 5, defense of 5, and special defense of 0. And it has a casting cost of use 2 treasure troves. It is empowered by magic. When this card enters the field, for every undead creature you control, your opponent loses 1 life. When this card deals combat damage to a player, create 2 runestones. Magic ability, spell speed, dark. Sacrifice X runestones to have this card drain life points on a target where X is the number of runestones sacrificed. So yeah, gather them undeads, because when this thing enters the field, it's going to do damage to a player, and then it is going to smash a player in the face and create some runestones. And then if you really want, you can go and take those runestones and use it to kill something by draining it, and also doing that to a player as well. So that works. That works very, very well. Get some life, kill some stuff, gain some stuff. The next thing we're going to go over are all the token cards in the set. That could be through generating them, or fusing, or morphing, or any different kind of ability or whatever creates these cards. So let's go over them now. The first tokens that we're going to be going over are ones that are created or generated by different ways. The first token we're going over is Scrap, which is an object made of metal. It doesn't have any particular attack, defense, or special defense to it. May be used for fusing or building. So this thing right here will be a token that can be used for something else. You can create this by either the Scheming Weaponizer, the Mecha Spider, or the Abomination of Forbidden Texts. The Scheming Weaponizer is the card that usually uses the Scrap in this set. So yeah, Scrap can be a really useful object for the right deck. The next card we are going over is Limbo Cube. It is created by Cube of Limbo, which banishes and contains 1 field object. Limbo Cube is an object, relic, magical item, and it has no particular attack, defense, or special defense. The contents contained inside this card is also a relic, and if it was a creature, you may sacrifice Limbo Cube as 2 relics, or a relic and a creature. Ability, instant speed. Release the contained target to the field unturned, then banish Limbo Cube. Ability, spell speed. Limbo Cube may be sacrificed as a relic or as a gold or glyph. When sacrificed, add 1 power counter to any field target. Alright, so what's going on here is when you cast Cube of Limbo, Limbo Cube is going to come onto the field and contain something. Now, you can contain something off your field or off someone else's field. This can be used as an evasive maneuver if you wish to go and have it if it was something on your field. It could also be where you take something out of combat, or you just take a fixture of something off of another player's field. Remember, you can go and use that for a gold or glyph, but also you could sacrifice it as a relic or even a creature if you really want. And you could even double up on that depending on what there is there. So, yeah. When sacrificed, you also add a power counter to something too. So that does help as well. But this is a really good token. The next card we have here is Boulder, which is an object Boulder Earth faction. It does not have any particular attack, defense, or special defense. Boulder can be thrown and or dropped. The card in this set that creates boulders and uses them in different ways is Stonesmith. So yeah, if you got anything that can throw stuff, this is very good and using for different actions as well. The next token is Spiked Ice Wall, which is an object. It is a wall and made of water, and it is produced by the Ice Fiend. It has no particular attack, defense, or special defense, and if a creature or throwable object is thrown into Spiked Ice Wall, the wall does 3 damage on top of the damage it normally gets from the hit damage. So if you have anything that will be thrown, it can get thrown into this thing and get more damage. Quite nice. The next token is Web, which is an object web, obviously, and it has no particular attack, defense, or special defense. The creature that produces this is Arachnid. Attach Web to a target creature. As long as Web is on a creature, it is stunned, except it may attack the web it is ensnared in. Web can be removed by damage and any destruction or removal spells or abilities that destroy an enchantment, equipment, or an item. Any creature you control can target attack Web, which cannot be blocked, and when damaged, the damage stays on Web. Alright, so this thing will ensnare creatures. They can't do anything except for attack this thing to get out of it. With that being said, other creatures can go and attack this too, so that is that. But remember, the creatures that are trying to attack forward can't attack forward and another creature go and target attack this web, and those break free and attack forward because they are ensnared. So this has to be off them to go and do anything. But yeah, this is quite a good little card. The next 4 cards that I'm going to go over are equipment cards that can be made by this guy right here, Dwarven Forger. The first card that we have is Artisan Bow. It is an equipment, weapon, artillery. It gives an attack of 2 and 0 defense and 0 special defense. And it does have an equip cost of 2. Equipped creature has preemptive and targeting. Can block flying empowered creatures, plus 2 damage to flying empowered creatures. Well, if you didn't get the memo, preemptive and targeting together is ridiculous. And this thing can go and give a plus 2 attack, plus go and attack and block flying empowered creatures, and a 2 extra attack if it is a flying creature. So this thing is fantastic. The other card it can create is Artisan Shield, which is an equipment shield with a defense of 1, 2, 3. The other card it can create is Artisan Shield, which is an equipment shield with an extra defense of 3 and an equip cost of 1. It gives anti-targeting, ability, instant speed. The equipped creature with Artisan Shield can shield another creature. Alchemic ability, instant speed. Turn creature equipped with this card to redirect any magic or ability to another target creature. So, this is going to be great for just going and repelling things and being able to not be hit, as well as taking care of any attacks that would go on creatures that you don't want attacked by shielding. So, great card right here. The next card that can be created is Mythril Armor, which is an equipment armor, which has an equip cost of 4 and has stats of 0 attack, 5 defense, and 2 special defense. This card is resistant to all dark, light, air, earth, fire, and water factions, as well as combat damage that is 3 attack and under. So this thing is resistant to a ton of things. So you put this on something, it's going to give a lot of defense, and it's going to be resistant to a lot of things. So very good card right there. The last card that can be created is 1, 2, 3. The last card that can be created of those weapons are Mythril Sword, which is an equipment weapon sword. It has an equip cost of 1 and an extra attack of 2, defense of 1, and special defense of 1. When the equipped card does damage, create 1 runestone. Equipped creature can block hidden and magic empowered creatures, plus 1 damage to dark, water, fire, and wind faction creatures. So yeah, this is great to go and definitely make some runestones, because it's whenever it does damage, and it will do that little extra plus 1. Plus, it has good stats already, so that's great. Next up, there are 2 cards that I am going to show that are created from this card, Mirages of Demise. If you remember, Mirages of Demise creates an emblem, which this is the player emblem, which is a symbol, player, object, creature. It doesn't have any kind of attack, defense, or special defense particularly, but it could depending on a card that might do it. So this represents the player, can be used as a token creature if noted, with attack, defense, and special defense is determined by counters. Now another card that Mirages of Demise and also the card Trade-Off makes is an image, which is a creature image. It does not have a particular attack, defense, or special defense, but it does say images, attack, defense, and special defense are represented by counters. So these cards are to just come up whenever and represent something, so that helps. Sometimes the image can go and be a creature, but normally they usually dissipate here and there. Same thing for the emblem. Now, if you remember the card Rondo of Swords, it creates something called an Enchanted Sword, which is a 2 attack, 0 defense, and 0 special defense. Well, here is Enchanted Sword. It is an object, relic, magic sword with no particular attack, defense, and special defense, but that card deems what it has there in those stats. So, at spell speed, an opponent may sacrifice an equipment or item from their field to destroy a target enchanted sword. Immortal, except against equipment, breaking, magics, and abilities. Targeting. This card can target attack a creature in combat for X attack damage, but cannot attack players or block in combat. So, basically what this card is it can go and attack things targeting, but it can't block or do anything else. And it'll target for whatever the card deems that the stats may be. So this card would attack for 2 with Rondo of Swords. And it can't be destroyed, which is really cool, unless if you're doing some sort of enchantment, destruction, or sacrificing, or however you can go and destroy these swords by doing such with equipment or item destruction. So, we all know the Pearl, which is the elemental resource for the water faction. Well, if you crack it, you can get some fishy creatures. And here are some from it. You can get Lava Diver, you can get Opal Oyster, you can get Renegade of the Tides, you can get Soot Wallower, you can get Warrior of the Reef, and you can get Winged Blackpool Piranha. All these cards created from the Pearl are the exact same that would be from these creatures in your deck. There's no difference. They're just tokens of those creatures. Next up, we have two cards that are created from the card Gloomwood. And the first one is Shadow Creeper, and the other one is Voracious Ghoul. Both of these cards are the exact same cards that you would find in your deck, but they are once again just tokens. The next card is a Snipe token, which the regular card that you have in your deck, Snipe, creates this. It's the exact same card that you'd find in your deck. It is just a token. And yes, this token does add to the attack stat of the snipes that are on the field. The next token that is generated is the card Skeleton Warrior, which is generated by the card Roots of Evil, by them popping out of plants. So, with that being said, this card is the exact same that it would be in your deck, so there's no change there either. The next card is Vampire Assassin, which is generated by Summoning of the Damned. This card is different where it only has the properties of Drain and Preemptive for the creature and not the qualities of the card that would be found in the deck. It does have its stats and all its tags. The next card is Knight of Divine Soul, which is a creature undead spirit knight of the Light faction, which has an attack of 3, defense of 1, and special defense of 0. It has fast and banishes itself after the combat phase of combat. It's created by the card Knight of Divine Souls when it attacks, and it's very, very strong. The next tokens that you will see are from death triggers, and the first one to show is Kamikaze Windbearer. This token is exactly the same kind of card that you would find in your deck, and it is produced from activating its ability, which it will sacrifice itself, and then it will go and create the 2 Kamikaze Windbearer tokens. The next token is Vengeful Imp, which is different than the one in your deck because the one in your deck has sudden and an ability of when it is cast on another player's turn. This only has its ability of cannot be killed by fatal castings of any kind. It is produced by Idol of the Demon Lord. The next card is Lesser Slime, which is a creature slime with an attack of 2 and defense of 1. This is the product of a death of Crawling Green Slime. This next token you see here is all about unfusing. The next card to go over is Clay Soldier, which this Clay Soldier token is different than the other Clay Soldier token that you would find in your deck. This token comes from the Clay Soldier itself, which you can go and see is different that would normally be in your deck, and also from Earthshaper. Unlike the Clay Soldier that you find in your deck, this one doesn't come in with fast, and it doesn't come in with a +1 attack and +1 defense until the end of turn. The next tokens that you will see have to do with morphing. This card right here is a Ravenous Werewolf, which is exactly like how the card that would be in a normal deck would be. This token is the same thing. It comes from a Lycanthrope Soldier, and it comes from a Lunar Pendant. Remember, if this card morphs from a Lycanthrope Soldier, it will fight a creature, and with the Lycanthrope Soldier, this token can also unmorph back to the Lycanthrope Soldier. The next token that you will see will come from this card, Aqua Shifter, which this is its liquid form, but you can bring it out in its morphed form or morph it into its other form, which is the Aqua Shifter solid form. When Aqua Shifter is in its solid form, it is creature, elemental, water, just like the original card, but its attack is 8, defense is 8, and special defense is 0. It has new properties, which it cannot be stunned. When Aqua Shifter enters the field in solid form, put this card on top of Aqua Shifter. When Aqua Shifter is in liquid form, it has the magical empowerment. Morph ability, spell speed. Spend 2 gold, remove this card off Aqua Shifter to morph it into liquid form. So, when this card is in its solid form, it does not have magical, but it can't be stunned and it is way bigger and stronger. This is one crazy token, and it's from a crazy card in general. The next couple tokens you're going to see are double-sided. So this is how this is. The first one comes off of the card Psychosis Moth Larva. This card first turns into the token on your left, which is the Psychosis Moth Chrysalis. It has Creature, Bug, Moth, Cocoon, with an attack of 2, defense of 3, and special defense of 2. This card cannot attack, resistant to the light faction. When any creature does damage to a player, or when you turn a treasure trove, put a power counter on this card. Ability, instant speed. Turn 1 treasure trove to give a creature permanent +1 magic defense counter. Morph. Spend 3 power to morph into Psychosis Moth. The next and final stage of this creature's morph ability is Psychosis Moth, which it is a creature, bug, moth. It has an attack of 4, defense of 5, and special defense of 4. It has spellproof, empowered by flight, resistant to the light faction. If this card is on the field, opponent creatures enter fields turned. Physical ability. At the beginning of your combat, charm, unturn, and take control of a target creature an opponent controls until the end of turn. Ability. When this card deals damage to a player, you may charm a target opponent creature and have it fight another creature. Magic ability, instant speed. Turn a treasure trove to put a +1 special defense counter onto 2 target creatures you control. Alright, so if you can morph this thing from the larva to the chrysalis can't attack, but it can definitely grow bigger, and you can have your other creatures be able to smash your opponent so it will get its power counters. Next turn, this thing could just morph anyway, so that is really strong. The next thing is that this Psychosis Moth, if you upgrade to that, it is curtains for your player, because this thing is going to steal creatures off of their field and use them, and it will also be able to make creatures fight each other, and also you can just do the shenanigans of make anything get more special defense, so that's really good too. But what's also really good is everybody's creatures are going to just come in turned except for yours with this thing, so that will take care of many pesky different things going on. And this thing is spellproof, so you're good there, and it's also resistant to the light faction. So, yeah, extremely good card, extremely dangerous. Look out for this one. The next tokens you will see are from this creature, Fairy of Cataclysm. When the Fairy of Cataclysm morphs, the player gets to choose if they want to morph it into a Dark Fairy or a Light Fairy. If they choose the Dark Fairy, it is Dark Fairy, Creature, Fairy, Witch, Dark, Attack 5, Defense 5, and Special Defense 0. It's empowered by flight. When Dark Fairy does damage, put a power counter on it. Magic ability, instant speed, dark. Turn this card and choose one. Put a -2 attack and defense counter on a target creature, and then give a target creature spellproof. Or, target player is dealt 2 damage and discards 1 card. Morph. Spend 3 power counters to morph into a Light Fairy. Now, if the player decides to do the Light Fairy, it has Light Fairy, Creature, Fairy, Witch, Light Faction, Attack 5, Defense 5, and Special Defense 0. Empowered by Flight. When Light Fairy does damage, put a power counter on it. Magic ability, instant speed, light. Turn this card and then choose one. Draw a card and put a permanent +1 attack and +1 defense on a target creature. Or gain 3 life and give a creature preemptive and absorb for the rest of the turn. Morph. Spend 3 power counters to morph into a Dark Fairy. So it doesn't really matter which one you go and morph into here. It's going to be nuts. And you can flip flop back and forth with these, and they're just great. You'll get some life, you'll do some kills, you'll do some damage, you'll beef some stuff up, you'll draw some cards, you'll negate stuff off creatures. It will be wonderful. And this thing flies, and it's very, very strong. So yeah, great card. And the final double-sided tokens you will see are off this card, which is Star Maiden. Star Maiden, when morphed, you can go and have your choice of Architect of the Sun or Comet Dancer. If you choose Architect of the Sun, it is this. Architect of the Sun, creature, elemental entity, light. 1, 2, 3. Attack 5, defense 4, special defense 0. Sentinel. When you draw a card, put a power counter on this card. If Architect of the Sun dies, put Star Maiden back in your hand. At the beginning of each combat, you may search your deck for a fixture card, reveal it, and cast it. If it's a creature, it may enter turned in combat attacking. Put a +1 attack and +1 defense counter on one target creature for every ingredient in the casting. You may repeat this again until you can't. Magic ability, instant speed. Spend 3 glyphs and turn this card to destroy any target opponent creature, then put a target creature from your graveyard onto your field. Morph. Spend 3 power to morph into Comet Dancer. Okay, let me quickly explain what Architect of the Sun does here. The big thing is, at the beginning of each combat, meaning your combat and any opponent's combat, you may search your deck for a fixture card and reveal it and cast it. So, yeah, that's wild because that can be on any player's turn. Now, do remember that with that being said, you do have to go and use the resources to go and do so. But anyway, if this is a creature and it's on your turn, it can come in attacking. Now, here comes the crazy part of this. When you go and you cast these creatures, you can put a +1 attack and defense on any creature that you wish. And then, after that, you can do this again if you have the resources to go and do it. So this is really ridiculous on how that works. It's insane. Now, this thing also has Sentinel, and also you can go and just straight up kill something at instant speed and then bring something back onto the field. So this card is absolutely just 100% nuts. Now, let's get into Comet Dancer. Comet Dancer, creature, elemental entity, light faction. Attack 5, defense 4, special defense 0. It has drain. When you draw a card, put a power counter on this card. When this card dies, put Star Maiden into your hand. When this card attacks, other creatures get drain for that combat. Before the damage step of combat, this card deals 2 damage to any target. Once on either player's turn, you may cast a spell or instant from your graveyard for free, speed applied. Banish that card until your second upkeep after your next one. Cards with X are equal to 4. You can't cast cards that do resource gain or destruction, copying, resurrecting, or get effect triggers of those said types. Magic ability, instant speed. Spend 3 gold and turn this card. Give any target spellproof for 3 turns of each player. Morph. Spend 3 power to morph into Architect of the Sun. Okay, so let me break down Comet Dancer here for you. This card will let you, on each player's turn, let you be able to cast an instant or spell that you can do whatever you need to do with. And it then just gets banished up until your next turn's second upkeep. This is absolutely crazy of how this works. It is a free casting for that card out of the graveyard. And you can do 2 damage to any target, including players, which this card has Drain, and it's also giving all these other cards that are attacking Drain as well. So yeah, there's that. And it can go and give spell proof, so that is nuts as well for that. And here's the big kicker, is that either if Architect of the Sun or Comet Dancer dies, Star Maiden will go back into your hand. That is bonkers. The last set of tokens that you will see are fusion tokens, and we are going to start that off with Cerberus, which is a creature fusion beast wolf chimera with an attack of +1, defense of +2, and special defense of 0. If an opponent targets this card with a flick or fatal spell or ability, they must turn 2 regular and or upgraded ingredients. Ability, instant speed, fire. Turn this card and spend 4 gold or glyphs to deal 7 damage distributed up to 3 field targets. Unfuse, spell speed. All unfused wolf creatures return to the field with a one-time only permanent +1 attack and +1 defense counter on it called an unfused counter. This counter cannot stack. So this big doggy here is just going to go and burn everything everywhere. It is strong and it will crush. And it's going to be very beefy because you're going to have lots of wolves on it. Those unfused counters can also combine into each other as long as it's on the Cerberus, since fusion creatures can gain counters. So, yeah, this card is a ridiculous menace of a beast. The next fusion creature to go over is a Draconic Hydra, which is a creature fusion dragon Hydra Chimera. It has an attack of +1, defense of +1, and special defense of 0. When an opponent targets this card with a flick or fatal spell or ability, they must turn 2 regular and or upgraded ingredients to do so. At every second upkeep, this card gets a power counter. When this card takes damage, it gets a permanent +1 attack counter on it. Ability, instant speed. Spend 3 power counters. This card does 2 damage per each dragon fused distributed to any targets. Fusion. Fuse with 2 more dragon creatures to create a Draconic Hydra. Oh boy. Okay, so when this thing starts spitting fireballs, it is going to be a wild time, because for every dragon that is fused to it, that is 2 damage each. And this thing can fuse again into another Draconic Hydra, which basically gives it more heads. So just know that. And the Draconic Hydra that it was fused with is also a head. So think of it as having multiple heads. It's ridiculous. So yeah, it's hard to get rid of, and also this thing can even get stronger too from getting hit. So yeah, this card is quite strong. The final batch of tokens we have are constructed from the fusions of the Amalgamators, which you get 3 different amalgamations, and then the entity of the Philosophers. The first amalgamation is from the fusion of the Amalgamator of Enlightenment and the Amalgamator of Essence. It creates the Amalgamation of Creation. It is a creature, human, chimera alchemist. It gives preemptive, and when attacking, create 2 attacking image creature tokens with the stats of 1 attack, 1 defense, and 1 special offense that are banished at the end of combat. When an opponent targets this card with a flick or fatal spell ability, they must turn 2 regular and or upgraded ingredients to do so. Fusion. Fuse with Amalgamator of Ritual to become an entity of the Philosophers. So this particular amalgamation is going to have preemptive, and it is going to make little extra attackers with itself. The next amalgamation is the fusion between the Amalgamator of Enlightenment and the Amalgamator of Ritual. They fuse to form the Amalgamation of Existence, which is a creature, human, chimera, alchemist. It has Pierce, and when attacking, create an elemental resource. When an opponent targets this card with a flick or fatal spell ability, They must turn 2 regular and or upgraded ingredients to do so. Fusion. Fuse with Amalgamator of Essence to become Entity of the Philosophers. Alright, so this card has Pierce, and it will create elemental resources, which is great. And the other fusion is Amalgamator of Essence with Amalgamator of Ritual. They fuse to make Amalgamation of Soul, which is a creature, human chimera, alchemist, with Drain, and when this card attacks, you may draw a card. When an opponent targets this card with a flick or fatal spell ability, they must turn 2 regular and or upgraded ingredients to do so. Fusion. Fuse with Amalgamator of Enlightenment to become Entity of the Philosophers. The ability to draw a card and have Drain? Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, if you're able to fuse all those amalgamators or amalgamations with the right amalgamator that you need, you get the Entity of the Philosophers, which is a creature, human deity, alchemist. It has +2 attack, +2 defense, and star for special defense. Alright, here's what this thing does. It has anti-flick, preemptive, drain, pierce, and sentinel, and can block all empowered creatures. When an opponent targets this card with a fatal spell and or ability, they must turn 2 regular or upgraded ingredients to do so. When this card performs an action, put a standalone +1 Cataclysm counter on a target creature +1 higher than the last one. When this card attacks or blocks, search your deck for a card and put it into your hand. When attacking, create a gold or glyph and create 2 attacking Entity of the Philosopher's copies. Ability, Spell Speed. Turn this card and remove a Cataclysm counter starting with the number 1. Damage that creature by that number, then do the same with 2, then 3, and so on. When this creature dies, banish everything not on a tableau. So basically, this is the universe just punching you right in the mouth. It's got anti-flick, preemptive, drain, pierce, sentinel, all that good stuff. And it also creates gold and glyphs, and it also creates copies of itself, which are this. Entity of the Philosopher's copy, creature, alchemic entity. Attack 3, defense 3, special defense 0. It has drain, pierce, sentinel, preemptive, but it does not have the powers of the original Entity of the Philosophers. Now back to the Entity of the Philosophers, because we're going to talk about them Cataclysm counters, and this is nuts. So, with all that being said, of anything that this card does, that means attacks, blocks, searches for cards, creates creatures, creates any kind of gold or glyphs, this thing is going to put a Cataclysm counter on something. And what does that do? When you go and you turn this card, it's going to make a chain of destructive energy that is going to go and do 1 damage, then 2 damage to something, then 3 damage to something, then 4 damage to something, and higher, and you can put those counters on any creature and even on the same creature. And then if this thing dies, basically it's a black hole and everything on the field, including your own stuff, gets banished. And with that being said, this card is completely insane, and thus completing the entire set of Alchemazam, the Grand Arcanum. I want to thank you guys all once again for checking out all these videos, and remember, you can check out the game rules and the card database on the Google Drive. You can play the game on Untapped.in for free, and you can play it also on Tabletop Simulator. Join the Discord. You can meet others who want to play the game with you, and you can also go to the game webpage where you can check out all the other games we have as well. Remember to join that Discord, follow, like, and share these videos, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification bell for more videos to come and more game stuff to come from Ichiban Games. Thanks, everybody, and have a fantastic day.